Hello, welcome to course Sea and Marine Environment Protection. The objectives of sea and marine environment protections are to categorize the most common sources of pollution from ships, to relate various sources of pollution from ships to prevent measures and operational actions to prevent pollution, interpret the basic content of the International Convention on Marine Pollution and its annex, as well as other important international regulation on the prevention of pollution from ships, such as Anti-Fouling System Convention, Ballast Water Convention, and Hong Kong Convention. Also, to shortly discuss the purpose of regional cooperation in pollution prevention. So, what does marine pollution mean? The definition of marine pollution according to United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea means, or UNCLOS define pollution of the marine environment as introduction by man, directly or indirectly, substance or energy into the marine environment which results or is likely to result in such effects as harm to living resources and marine life. From the figure 1 you can see different types of ocean pollution that can be plastic waste, the most common pollutant that can be seen in marine environment today, oil spills, different kind of oil spills that can happen during the normal or some stress situation in ship operation. Different manufactured chemicals that can be introduced into the marine environment from industrial area or from agriculture, as well as pesticides that can be flashed over into the marine environment. Also different kind of nutrients that can come from the urban water, from domestic waste, and mercury also can be introduced into the marine environment in some industrial area. It is important to know the level of different toxic waste into the marine environment, because through food web bioaccumulation and biomagnification can occur. So as you see from figure 2, the difference between bioaccumulation and biomagnification. So in bioaccumulation through time, the pollutant concentrate into the marine organisms. So bioaccumulation begins at the first level of the food chain, when there is an increase in concentration of pollutant from the environment to the first consumers. So from the first organism in the food chain to final consumer, the concentration of pollutant increase. Biomagnification occurs when the concentration of pollutant increase from one link into the food web or food chain to another, and will result in the top predator containing the highest concentration of level of different kind of pollutant. In order to biomagnification to occur, the pollutant must be long-lived, mobile, soluble on fat, and biologically active. Why we need to protect the marine environment? You can see from these two movies why the ocean is important to us. It regulate climate, it provides us with food, it is the most efficient way of transport of the goods, and so. If we are talking a little bit more about ship as a source of pollution, from figure 3 you can see that ships can pollute marine environment, introducing different kind of pollutants such as oil water, the most common pollutant. Also different kind of garbage can be introduced deliberately or undeliberately to marine environment. Sewage also can be introduced. Then on ships different kind of hazardous substances are transported, and they also can be introduced into the marine environment. Also ships use fossil fuels, and we all know that burning of fossil fuels produce different kind of gases. Some of them are greenhouse gases, and some of them are noxious substance, SOx, sulfur oxides, and they are all emitted into the air, and consequently they produce different kind of negative effects to the climate or to marine environment. Also from ships, ballast waters can possess large threats. So some recent research said that the introducing of invasive species through ballast water is one of the 3 major threats to biodiversity. Noise. So ship produce noise. This noise can be heard inside of ship and outside of the ship, and this outside noise can interfere with the normal sounds of sea mammals and some other marine organisms, and can disturb their living environment. Also the underwater part of the ship is treated with different kind of paints. These paints prevent marine organisms to stick to this underwater part, and they are treated with anti-fouling paints. So fouling every object that is introduced into the marine environment through times, marine organism starts to grow on it. So the underwater part of the ship is treated with this anti-fouling paint in order to prevent these organisms to stick on it. It is important for this underwater part of the ships to be smooth, because the resistance to going through a marine environment is much smaller when this area is smooth. Also the consumption of oil is much less if this part of the ship is smooth. You can see two films, links to 2 films that explain a little bit more about this source of ships as a source of on this web you can see on these slides the web is shown, the web that connects pollutant, source and effects. So beginning from the upper part, you can see fossil fuel emission. It can produce the greenhouse effects, the ocean acidification, the acid rain, and human health that can affect to human health. Engine room can produce different kind of noise, and different kind of oil can be flushed or can came from the engine room, oily water, and also from engine room thermal pollution can occur. Also ozone depleting substance can be released from the engine room, the substance that is used in cooling equipment or firefighting equipment, and so on. From the oil tanks, different kind of oils that is transported as a cargo can be introduced also into the marine environment. From the cargo area, different kind of hazard substance that are transported, radioactive substance also can be introduced into the marine environment. Sewage from the sewage system overboard can affect to human health, can introduce pathogens into the marine environment, and also can add some nutrients to marine environment, and consequently eutrophication can occur. Ballast water, as I mentioned earlier, they can introduce the alien species, but not only the alien species, also the pathogens can be transferred with ballast water. Garbage that are produced in normal operation of the ships can introduce nutrients, and also different kind of garbage are produced, but nutrients as leftover from the food, and also plastics can be introduced into the marine environment. From the ship hull, as I mentioned earlier, this anti-fouling paint can be done, or inside them some persistent toxins can be present. They are released into the marine environment constantly in order to be effective, and also different kind of alien species can be stick to underwater part of the ship hull and can be transported into the different area. So, International Convention for the Prevention of Pollution from the Ships has the main goal to prevent and minimize pollution from the ships, some of them that we saw on these two slides, both accidental pollution and from routine operations. So you can read more about this convention on the web page that you see on this slide. But the most important is to know that MARPOL prevents pollution from 5 major pollutants. First is oil, noxious liquid substance, sewage, garbage, and air pollution. It has 6 annexes because the hazard noxious substance can be transported in the liquid forms, in bulk, or in package form. So first annex regulates the prevention of pollution by oil. The annex 2 regulate the pollution by noxious liquid substance in bulk. Annex 3 regulate the pollution by harmful substance carried by sea in package form. Annex 4 prevention of pollution by sewage. Annex 5 prevention of pollution by garbage from ships, and Annex 6 prevention of air pollution from the ships. So further we are going to talk a little bit about each of the annex. So first we are going to talk about the oil. On this figure 4 and figure 5 you can see when it is allowed to discharge oily water from the oil from machinery space and oil from cargo and ballast space. It is always so the first rule is not to discharge it overboard, but there is some exemptions. You can read more about this on link that you have on IMO web page. Always it is advisable that ship is en route and that all other requirements are fulfilled. So the second and third annex covering the hazard noxious substance, which mean any substance other than oil which introduced into the marine environment is likely to create hazard to human health, to harm living resources and marine life, and to damage amenities or to interfere with other legitimate use of the sea. Also, on the covered link, you can see, you can read a little bit more about chemical pollution. Annex 4 deals with the sewage regulation, and from figure 6 you can see what are the sewage discharge regulation according to MARPOL convention. Also, you can read a little bit more about the sewage. So what does the sewage mean? The term sewage means drainage and other waste from many forms of toilets, drainage from the medical premises, drainage from the space containing living animals, or other waste when mixed with drainage defined above. It is advisable to follow this discharge regulation because the negative effects of introducing sewage to marine environment are definitely the presence of the different bacteria and viruses, and also the eutrophication due to nutrients input. So what is the eutrophication? The process where bodies of water receive excess nutrients that stimulated excessive plants grow. So from the figure 7 you can see the ways from which nutrients can come to marine environment. So from urban area, from residential areas, so from groundwater, atmospheric deposition, and so on. So more about the eutrophication you can read in this 3 web page that is listed here on this slide. Also, the main negative effects of the eutrophication, as you can see from the figure 7, is low oxygen concentration. So due to algal blooms, you can the hypoxia, so dissolved oxygen in the water is reduced, can occur, and also if this process is ongoing, environment anoxia also can occur. So area where there is no dissolved oxygen. So if you have anoxia area, the opportunity for the living organisms to live there is only some species can live in this anoxia environment, so in area when there is no dissolved oxygen. Annex 5 regulates the issue of garbage pollution. So what garbage means? All types of animal waste, household waste, ship generate waste, excluding fresh fish and parts. Why these parts are excluded? Because they can be thrown overboard. These all types arise from the regular operation of the ships, and this should be removed permanently or at some intervals according to MARPOL convention. You can read a little bit more about this garbage issue on the IMO web page that you can see here. Also on table 1 there is a chart where you can see different types of garbage that are regulated according to Annex 5 and how they can be discharged overboard. So you can see green parts when there is permitted and red part when there is discharge prohibited. Also you can see that this depends if the ship is outside the special area or the ship is inside the special area. Because there are some areas that should be more protected due to their meaning or because they are the lots of traffic are there and they should be protected even more. In future slides we are going to see what are the special area, what is the definition of the special area. Today it is of great importance to raise awareness about marine litter. So UN Environment defined marine litter as any persistent manufactured or proceeded solid material which is discarded, disposed or abandoned in the marine and coastal environment. On this slide you have one additional reading on IMO web page, and also you can see the different film regarding the marine litter. On figure 8 you can see the impacts of marine debris to marine animal. So they can eat, they can mistake plastic for the food, they can eat it, and then they starve because the plastic doesn't have any nutrition value. Also they can be entangled in it, so they cannot swim. Different kind of marine debris can pose habitat damage. And also, as we mentioned earlier, non-native species can be introduced in through shipping through the ballast water or with the ship hull. In marine litter, the marine plastic is the more specifically microplastic is something that is also very important to talk about it. There are particles less than 5 millimeters. So these are two figures, figure 9 and figure 10. From figure 9 you can see a different source of marine litter, and on figure 10 you can see where this marine litter ends. So the majority of this marine litter ends at the sea floor. So 94% of the total marine litter ends at the sea floor. Also you have this film that you can watch regarding the microplastic. The issue with microplastic is that it's so small that marine organisms eat them. At the end, through the food web, it ends up at the human table. Also, it possesses different kind of health issue. Acid rain is the issue that is connected with the burning of fossil fuel. So here you have additional read what is acid rain. And what are the pathway of the acid rain? From figure 11, you can see acid rain flow in the environment, and from figure 12, acid rain pathway. So if we are using the fossil fuel, the sulfur and noxious oxide are released into the air, where the pollutants are transformed into the acid particles that can be transported for long distance. What are the negative effects? The negative effects are to soil, to forests, to streams, to lakes, to human health also. Greenhouse gases, the most common greenhouse gas is carbon dioxide that is produced by fossil fuel and industrial process that can be seen from the figure 13. And from the figure 14 you can see which economic sector produce the majority of greenhouse gas, and as you can see, the electricity and health production is 25%, and agriculture, forestry and other land use 24%. So transportation only 14% of the global greenhouse gas emission produced. So what is the negative effects of these greenhouse gases? They trap heat in the atmosphere and causes the effects of greenhouses and global warming. So they form this trap that Earth cannot cool during the night, and this heat is going back to the Earth, and Earth is warming. You can read a little bit more about this greenhouse gas emission data on the web page that is on this slide. Also, one of the issue of burning fossil fuel is ocean acidification. Why this poses a problem to marine environment is due to the facts that CO2 is from atmosphere. It's dissolved into the marine environment, and it change ocean chemistry, meaning that the pH of seawater now is around little bit 8.3, and due to constant uptake of the carbon dioxide, it moves lower in this acidic area. So as you can see from the figure 16 and from figure 17. This ocean acidification impacts the marine life, especially these shelled organisms, the organisms that need bicarbonate for their shells. You can read a little bit more about this on the web page that is also in this slide. At the beginning of this presentation, I mentioned the ballast water issue. So as you can see from the figure 18, so 3 to 5 billion tons of ballast water is transferred internationally each year. The ballast water possess ecological issue, economical issue and health issue. So ecological issue because some species are introduced into the new area, and we need the money, economical issue to deal with it, and also some of them can be harmful to human health. Also, you can watch the video regarding the ballast water issue and read a little bit more on IMO web page. Why the ballast water issue is so important today? Because the ships are bigger and bigger, and the quantity of the ballast water are growing. So in 2014, International Convention for the Control and Management of Ship Ballast Water and Sediment was done, but it was ratified in 2017. It is important to have this convention in order to minimize these three negative effects of ballast water. So from figure 19 you can see the requirement, ballast water change requirements for ships, which is introduced by this convention. So each ships should change ballast water 200 nautical miles from the shore and at depths of 200 meters. So on figure 19 you can see the green area in Mediterranean where this is possible, and especially some exceptions can be done 50 nautical miles from the near shore and 200 miles depth. So in Mediterranean Sea there is no, so for Adriatic Sea there is only small area at the entrance of the Adriatic Sea. So from figure 20 you can see the different time frames where all ships should be in compliance with the standards regarding the ballast water management convention. So they all should have this D2 standard. New ships which were built on the date when the convention was ratified, they must meet the D2 standard, meaning that they have installing ballast water management system. On figure 21 you can see overgrown hull of the ships. So this underwater part of the ship wasn't treated with the anti-fouling paints for a while. So as we mentioned earlier, it is important for ship hulls to be smooth, and this underwater part should be treated with different kind of anti-fouling paint. Some of anti-fouling paint proved to be toxic to marine environment, and this International Convention on the Control of Harmful Anti-Fouling System of the Ship was done, and it addressed anti-fouling system on ships and focus on prevention of adverse impact from the use of anti-fouling system and the biocide that they may contain. You can read a little bit more about IMO web page regarding the to biofouling. So new generation of this anti-fouling system should be environmentally friendly. The last part, when the ships go to retirement or when they are entering the shipping process, they go to scrapyard. As you can see from the figure 22, it is not always done in with the ecological standards. Nowadays the majority of ships are dismantled using the beach methods, meaning that they are put on the beach and then dismantled to the smallest part. some of these ships contain different toxic asbestos material, and they should be managed according to according to their health or environmental issue. So the Hong Kong International Convention for the Safe and Environmentally Sound Recycling of the Ship was adopted in 2009, and you can see that 63 countries were for this were up to this convention. So you can read a little bit more about IMO, about this convention on IMO web page. For the end of this course, a little bit about sustainable shipping. So in order to minimize these negative effects or the effects of shipping to marine environment, we should think about sustainable shipping. The shipping that include economic, environmental and social dimension. In sustainable shipping, this means that the transport of goods or the goods are transported, delivered in efficient and reliable manner, with minimizing pollution, maximizing energy efficiency and ensure resource conservation. How this can be done? So if we have educated people who knew how to preserve planet and give or gain some profit to their employee. It is important to have a regulation, procedures and different technical information in order to minimizing the impact of the shipping to marine environment. And the main role in this procedures, regulation and information is role of International Maritime Organization or IMO. So special area, I mentioned earlier special area when we were talking about the garbage disposal. So on figure 23 you can see different special area. The area that is recognized in relation to its oceanographically, ecological condition, and because they are in so much pressure of traffic, and different prevention or methods for the prevention are prevention of the pollution is required. Also, there are particularly sensitive sea area. On figure 24 you can see particularly sensitive sea area. The first of it was Australian Great Barrier Reef. What does it mean, particularly sensitive sea area? The IMO recognized some of this area due to its ecological or socio-economic or scientific reason, and this area are vulnerable to damage by international maritime activities. Also, you can read a little bit more about this particularly sensitive sea area on IMO web page. And that is the end. I hope that you enjoy this class. Thank you.